Hello, and welcome to our fifth summer school. My name is Hilda Hayo, and I'm the Chief Admiral Nurse and the CEO of Dementia UK. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the origins of the charity, about Admiral Nurses, about our strategy for 2025 to 30 and beyond. So, brief history of our charity. Admiral Nurses came about in the 1980s to 1990s. Our family's experience of vascular dementia meant that they recognised that the support for families living with dementia was not as good as it could be. So they thought about it and thought about what they could do and make a difference to those families that are impacted by dementia. What they decided is that what was needed for the family was a nurse that could actually support that family through all of the different changes that they can experience when somebody's living with dementia. They weren't quite sure what to call us, but because Joseph Levy, who had vascular dementia, had a love of sailing, they used to call him affectionately Admiral Joe. So the grandchildren thought, I know, we'll call those nurses Admiral Nurses. So that's why I'm an Admiral Nurse. So in the 1990s, Admiral Nurses first came to London. It started in a very small way, but eventually over time that has actually developed. So what do Admiral Nurses do? Well, we work in partnership with the family and also with the services and support that are around that family. We've got a family focus, and the family can be right the way across the generations. So the charity, when it was first set up in 1994, had Admiral Nurses as their USP, and that continues today. And one of the things that happened in 2010 is the family decided that the charity would be called Dementia UK. So that's why we're Dementia UK. So Dementia UK Admiral Nurses. Well, as I said before, we're a UK charity offering specialist dementia nursing through our Admiral Nurses. And Admiral Nurses are specialist nurses supporting families and people with dementia. We work across the dementia pathway in a range of settings. So wherever people are living with dementia, that's where we would like Admiral Nurses to be. We support complex cases and work with other multidisciplinary professionals. Dementia UK also has its own clinical services, which we call delivered services. So we've got the helpline, we've got clinics, we've got consultant Admiral Nurses that work on a national basis, and we've got dementia at work. So all of those aspects within the charity, we pay for fully as a charity. Currently, we've got 466 Admiral Nurses in the UK, and that figure is growing all of the time. But from my perspective, probably not quick enough. I'd like it to go quicker. So, as I said, Admiral Nurses, they should be wherever people are living with dementia, but in particular, acute hospitals, primary care, i.e. GPs and community, hospices, other charities, anywhere where there are people living with dementia. So we've got several different models of Admiral nursing. So we've got those that are fully funded by hosts, all of the different hosts that I've just described. We've got those that are part funded by Dementia UK and the host. So usually it's about 50% over 2 years. Now, those posts are the posts that we want to develop strategically. So it might be a county that hasn't got Admiral Nurses. It could be a particular health inequality in a particular area that we want to develop further. And as I also mentioned, there are those nurses that are fully employed by Dementia UK. So we've got approximately 100 nurses that are working within Dementia UK in helpline clinics, consultant Admiral Nurses, and lots of different kind of posts within dementia. So we've got about 45,000 contacts per year, and that's a conservative estimate through our delivered services. And that doesn't count all of those people that are supported by those nurses that are out there in hosted services. So we're touching the lives of many, many families across the UK. We've got some very specialist national posts too that have been really successful. So we've got frailty posts, Lewy body dementia, young onset dementia, LGBT plus community, children and young people, sports and dementia. All of those services, I think, are services that we found that are kind of not catered for effectively within the current system. So in 2020 to 25, we actually worked on trying to get the Admiral nurses up to 500. As I've just said, we have 466. So we're kind of nudging that figure. I'd like to be a little bit closer to it. But there's been so many changes nationally, what with the 10-year plan, what with the resources, a change of government, changes in the way the commissioners work. It's kind of held us back a little bit over the last year in particular. But it looks like there's light at the end of the tunnel. So as things start to get a little bit better, when the 10-year plan is released, when all of the budgeting is sorted out, I can see us picking up our pace. So one of the areas that we have developed those specialist posts in are where there are health inequalities and underserved communities. So some of those consultant nurses posts, some of those clinic posts are around those aspects. They generally are the posts that we either fully fund or part fund. We've also increasing the kind of information and support around the effectiveness of Admiral nursing. And we do that by getting the kind of the evidence together, so evaluations and evidence and research. We write articles, evaluations, we write books on book chapters, we take part in conferences, also so that we can change the national landscape of dementia. We also have an Admiral Nurse Academy. Now, the Admiral Nurse Academy is in-house so far, so it's there to support the development of Admiral nurses. However, what we would like to do is to actually enhance that so that other people that are non-Admiral nurses can actually access that. But I'll tell you a little bit more about that soon. Our investment strategically to develop Admiral nursing posts and services to meet local and national needs is from money that's donated to us. So we don't get NHS monies within our charity or any other monies coming in. We get it from donations. We get it from our supporters. So it's really important that we spend that money wisely to further the cause of looking after the beneficiaries that need to have our support. Over the last couple of years, we've got more involved in policy, campaigns and public affairs. And in particular, we've been looking at continuing healthcare funding, acute care, primary care, young onset dementia and end-of-life care. Those are the areas that we feel need a lot more attention for people living with dementia, because there's inequalities in what can happen to a person with dementia in many different systems, in many different settings. So 2025 and 2030, we've got our new strategy for the 25 to 30 published on the 1st of September of this year. And by the end of 2030, we're broadly aiming for 1,000 Admiral nurses. We want to be in a position where we are supporting 250,000 people that are supported by our Dementia UK employed Admiral nurses. We want coverage of Admiral nursing in all parts of the UK. Although we've got some clinics that are currently running in Scotland and in Northern Ireland, and we've got some Admiral nurse posts in Scotland, we need to develop that further. And we've got the Royal British Legion, who's also got some posts within those areas, but they're not on the ground all of the time. So we must get some more nurses within those settings. We want the Admiral Nurse Academy to be accessible and open to non-Admiral nurses, not just the nurses that we have, not just the people that want to become Admiral nurses, but those people that are working and specialising in dementia within the health and social care settings. We are already involved in various research projects particularly pertaining to dementia, but we want to develop that further. And we want to research into specialist dementia care and support. And we've got a first ever research strategy, which we started a couple of years ago now. And that's beginning to bear fruit. And we want to grow our influencing. We want to influence policy and campaigning and public affairs so that we are the voice of people living with the complexities of dementia. We're a clinical charity. We should be occupying that space. So, do we plough our own furrow, or do we actually collaborate with other people? We work with all of the other charities, all of the other bigger charities and smaller charities that work with dementia. So Alzheimer's Research UK, we collaborate with Alzheimer's Society, Dementia Carers Count, Innovations in Dementia, John's Campaign, Lewy Body Society, Rare Dementia Support, Tide, and Young Dementia Network. So we work in collaboration. So what we look at is, what are our USPs? What do we do differently? Within all of those different charities, we are the only clinical charity, the only charity that has specialist dementia nurses. So we have a very specific USP, which is really quite helpful. So I'd like to say thank you, everybody, for listening. Do look at our website where you can get information and resources. Get updates about how we are improving the specialist care and support for people living with dementia and their families. You can also see employment opportunities. So thank you all for listening, and please enjoy your summer school. Thank you.